Hey guys, what's up? Big Thomas. Today we're back here with VC Andrews. Yep, wants me to do another one. Today's an oldest versus medium versus newest. Here comes Mr. Jordan versus Heaven Can Wait and Down to Earth. So, never heard any of these movies, you know me. I'm not much of a movie guy, but, well, check out the description. Apparently it's doing with Reincarnation. So I guess someone's getting isekai. I don't know how, but, well, we're about to find out. So let's see which of these you should probably check out. If you'd like to go for more, let me know if you guys seen this movie, or any of these. Let's go.
Hey guys, it's the VC Andrews Critiquer here with another triple comparison. First of all, why is it taking so long for Hilda Season 3 to come? But anyway, if you're a fan of Hilda like I am, then you may want to stick around to the very end of this video or skip right here for a bit of Hilda musical fun.
Dude.
In bloody hell, VC Andrews Critiquer. You are not going to have Murray reactions traumatize my Hilda with something worse than Teletubbies. You play that song and I'll send a Mara after you.
Johanna, calm down. I'm not talking about the Fly Away song. No, I am not going to have Murray taught me something worse than those Teletubbies. No, but I don't want to spoil the surprise, so skip here if you want to see it now. But on the subject of Hilda, it's pretty interesting how Netflix was able to reincarnate an obscure comic book character who was a whiny, bratty, poorly drawn prima donna and turn her into one of the most charming characters in all of media. My point is, reincarnation can often have some pretty optimal results, and our story is no exception, that being a little tale primarily called Heaven Can Wait.
It's about Joe Pendleton, or Lance Barton in the newest, whose life as a boxer slash football player slash stand-up comedian in each respective version is cut short by his unexpected death. So Pendleton is taken up to heaven, but insists he's there by mistake and he's not supposed to be dead yet.
Really?
The escort angel's like, yeah, sure bud, heard that one before. But the gatekeeper angel, Mr. Jordan, or Mr. King in the newest, discovers that he's actually right. See, our hero was supposed to survive the incident that led to said death, and wasn't due to arrive in heaven for 50 more years. The escort angel just assumed there's no way he could have survived and pulled his soul out of his body before he was actually killed.
Whoops.
Well, no biggie, they can just put his soul back in his body that's
Cremated?
been cremated. Well, this is a bit of a dilemma.
So now
the
they got
angels
no
decide
body.
they can put
There you
Joe's
go,
soul in
guys.
the body of someone who's recently been deceased and whose death has not been discovered yet. After several rejected candidates, they finally settle for a corrupt big business executive named Farnsworth.
What is the assignment that I shall do so extremely well?
No, not that Farnsworth, although this one was every bit as much of a dick as him. But this is Charles Farnsworth, or Williamton in the newest, who's recently been drugged and drowned in his bathtub by his wife and personal secretary, who are having an affair and hoping to get him out of the way to get his fortune all to themselves. Joe takes the body as a temporary arrangement until they find a more suitable one, so he can right the many wrongs Farnsworth had done in his lifetime, mostly against this chick he has the hots for. Only thing is, that chick is actually starting to fall for Joe and Farnsworth's body because of his charisma and the recent selfless charity he's shown, and our hero's starting to think that maybe he could live with being this dude after all. Little elbow grease, and he could easily continue his boxing slash football slash comedian career. But Farnsworth's wife and secretary aren't ready to throw the towel in just yet. The story began as a play called Heaven Can Wait in 1938. Then it was adapted to film 3 years later under the new title, Here Comes Mr. Jordan. Don't ask me the reason for the name change. Then it was adapted again in 1978, but retaining the original play's title, and a third time in 2001 with the title of one of the oldest version sequels, Down to Earth. Again, I got no theories as to why they called it that. And the story itself, while it's showing up in better movies involving angels, does still make for a fun little screwball comedy. Only question is, which one is most fun and screwy? Well, no way in hell we'll find that down on Earth, so heaven can't wait, as we gotta go there to find the answer to that from our dear friend Mr. Jordan. Oh, here he comes now. This is oldest versus median versus newest. Here comes Mr. Jordan versus Heaven Can Wait versus Down to Earth.
Oh, it's from Chris Rock. Let's see, so we got boxer, footballer, comedian. I'm not too sure where this is gonna go. I mean, Chris Rock, Star Power can only get you so far, but considering the middle one has like the original title of Heaven Can Wait, maybe that's where they're going for. But then again, I guess we'll see in the story round. I feel like there's a reason for the changes, but I think it depends on the story. I'm not too sure, but Well, let's see who does their second chance the best. Let's go. That sounds wrong, but what are you gonna do?
They say one person can make a difference in the world, and that is indeed true. They may just have to do it as someone else who has the power and money to do so. So will the boxer, football player, or stand-up comedian make the biggest difference as the cold-hearted industrialist Farnsworth? Let's find out with Best Lead.
Well, let's see.
Our lead character, Joe Pendleton / Lance Barton, is respectively played by Robert Montgomery, Warren Beatty, and Chris Rock, and he is a really damn good protagonist at that. Not only is he a pretty nice guy, what with his awesome relationship with his manager, and him being willing to take on the body of a publicly hated figure for a bit to help all those people in need, most notably Betty / Sante, but he is just such a fun and charismatic dude. Yeah, you may find it a bit hard to swallow that our romantic lead fell for someone who had been an arrogant, heartless piece of Harvey Weinstein his whole life so quickly, especially since he was going to hurt her friends and family, though in slightly different ways, which we'll discuss more in her round.
Yeah.
But seriously,
I feel like
if you
there's
met
gonna be a
Charles
build-up
Manson
for that.
for the first time and he had this guy's personality, in 5 minutes you'd be like, aw, who cares about several killings? You are freaking awesome. Sure, he's a little stubborn, but hey, nobody's perfect. But I digress.
perfect.
Which one is the best? This one was really hard because Montgomery, Beatty, and Rock all really nail his charismatic personality and good heart.
Why take chances?
Fine thing. Me, known as the Flying Pug. The papers will all say, Flying Pug takes train. Fine thing.
Hi. Look, I'm sorry to bother you so late, but I don't love you and you don't love me, so let's get a divorce, all right?
But for me, the most
was easy.
engaging Joe Pendleton was actually Chris Rock's Lance Barton.
Really?
How
Nice.
come? Well, for one, sure Montgomery and Beatty were awesome in those clips I just showed you,
Yeah.
but just look at Chris Rock.
From now on, we got a new slogan. Shot in the head, you get a bed, okay? If your head is bloody, we're your buddy.
But not without adequate insurance.
Not without adequate insurance. Is insurance really adequate? When you pay for insurance, do you feel assured? They shouldn't even call it insurance. They should just call it in case shit. I give a company some money in case shit happens.
See what I mean? It is virtually impossible to hate this dude. Yeah, a lot of people
Again, it's
forget
Chris
that Chris
Rock.
Rock was just... he was something else with comedy for a while. Need further proof of this guy's suaveness? He actually manages to trick the villains into confessing to him that they tried to kill him, convincing them he knew everything. Sure, he doesn't do anything with this, like hide a tape recorder, or maybe have a cop hide in the closet or something, but still, it's pretty impressive he was able to do that. Hell, around the middle,
it's
his
really
wife actually
charismatic.
does start to fall for him genuinely again, and dumps his secretary to try and win him back, and more importantly, his money. Doesn't work out so well. But that aside,
You
Rock
literally
also seems
confessed
to
to
have the
killing him.
most character development of the three, where Joe Pendleton was always a very talented and respected boxer / football player. I think Lance Barton's manager said it best, that he does indeed have a natural talent for comedy, but once he gets on stage, he's scared to be himself, and so...
How come every time an airplane crash, all they can ever find is the black box? Why don't they just make the whole plane out of the black box? I got some roaches in my house, man. Roaches so big, one roach got drafted in the second round.
Oh, bro.
Yeah, fake buddy.
Stinks!
Even when he relies on insult humor, which is usually a comedian's ace in the hole,
I know this girl so ugly, she had to wear makeup on the radio.
Hey, funny guy! I got a joke for you! What smells rotten and puts people to sleep?
Noxious gas?
No! Your axe!
yeah, even Lulu Moppet had funnier stand-up material on stage than him, but once he takes over Farnsworth's, or rather, Wellington's body,
There we go.
a combination of less stress since he's technically not himself, and the love he's feeling from Sante, which is what the love interest is called in that version, really boosts his confidence, and he just goes to town with the comedy. And before you ask, no, I'm not going to make any references to that night with Chris Rock at the Oscars, but I will say there is one scene in this film that we'll discuss later that would have been just perfect for it. But one thing at a time. So yeah, if you're surprised
are
that
they
Warren
actually
Beatty
flipping
didn't
back
win this
between the
one,
two actors?
I honestly am too. But as great as he was, as was Robert Montgomery, Chris Rock was
guys.
honestly just phenomenal here. Plus, I am kind of glad this version doesn't have the character's passion for the saxophone because, one, it really offers nothing to the story,
Yeah, just like
and
nothing.
let's just say that Joe is no Lisa Simpson.
Oh.
So for being the most charismatic and having the most amount of character development,
And no sex.
Chris Rock takes this one.
Point goes to Down to Earth.
Don't waste your time listening to this
Frame
comic.
drop
He's got
there.
a screw loose someplace.
Why? I don't understand.
Hey, buddy. News takes the win for Down to Earth.
Now, of course, we all know that the Lord and Jesus are perfect, but the good book never
Not
said
all
that
the
his
time.
angels are, and good thing too, because there'd be no story otherwise. But nonetheless, let's see which version of the story had the best depiction of the angels with Best Angels.
Here we go. Alright. Next to the angels.
The two main angels that assist our hero with his reincarnation are Mr. Jordan/King and the Messenger, whose nameless in the first two films and called Keys in the newest. Okay, let's start off with the ones I like the least, Down to Earth. I may be overreacting a bit, but
that's out for
I
Down to
personally
Earth?
think that its portrayal of heaven is
Corporate?
a little sacrilegious.
Oh,
Like, I'm not too
nightclub?
crazy about how all we see of the kingdom of God is presented just like a nightclub, or how the gatekeeper is presented as a bouncer and his guest list is portrayed as the book of life. Again, maybe I'm being a little sensitive. I mean, they don't show us
Fair?
any drinking or sex in this place. But what really bugs me is that
maybe?
apparently in this heaven, angels take bribe from folks to be added to the list.
Tell Mike to stop putting girls on the list.
Or just listen to this line from Mr. King.
First, you make Frank Sinatra wait for a table.
He didn't have a jacket.
He's Frank Sinatra. He can wear whatever he wants.
As it clearly says
Damn.
in Psalms 40.
Spare me the salmon, Vicar.
Alright.
Thank
My
you.
point is, notoriety doesn't get you into heaven. Your good works and faith do. There. Speaking of Mr. King, I don't think Chaz Palminteri's mob boss-like portrayal is very respectful. I
Yeah,
will say he
that
does a
just
great
seems
job
like a
at
slap
playing
in
it
the
off.
face.
Hell, I thought he was Robert De Niro for a bit. But yeah, Gabriel and Vic Corleone are not the greatest combination in my book. Now for the oldest and median. First of all, no, I
So,
don't mind
two
that heaven has to be
airplanes.
reached by an airplane in this version. I guess the Heavenly
Purgatory.
Express is reserved for cats only. Anyway, here Mr.
do.
Jordan is played by Claude Rains, aka Sir John Talbot from The Wolfman and
hey,
Prince
Talbot.
John from the 1930s Robin Hood, and James Mason, aka the male lead in the 50s version of A Star is Born. Both are much more like how you'd expect a high-ranking angel of God to be depicted. They're both wise, dignified, only stern when they need to be, and really do have Joe's best interests
Race
at heart.
angels to
But
a
I think
T.
I'll give a slight edge to Claude Rains. I just
the
feel
oldest,
more of
huh?
a capable and dignified leader vibe in his performance from him than James Mason.
Joseph, I promise you we'll keep looking until we find the body you like. Now that's fair enough, isn't it?
But I expect you to make good, Mr. Jordan.
I'll do my best.
Until after I help that kid out. Could I do that?
If you wish it.
And after you got me out of Farnsworth's body, you'd have to get me a body that would suit me. Is that clear?
Quite clear.
Also, something that bothered me was that in the third act, when Mr. Jordan learns that Farnsworth's wife and secretary are plotting to still blow his brains out, instead of directly warning him about this, Mr. Jordan is basically like, sorry, you can't have this body anymore, but doesn't give an explanation as to why. So naturally, this upsets our hero because he doesn't want to leave
Third act
Betty
breakup?
/ Sante. While the oldest one still fails to give a reason for why he has to give up on Farnsworth, he does at least try to use his powers to stop Joe from walking into his secretary's trap, but relents when Joe's adamant about staying Farnsworth. Hey, at least he tried to do more to save him than in the other two movies. And as for the escort angel, again, tough call, and I'll always respect Buck Henry for creating Get Smart with Mel Brooks, and Eugene Levy for inspiring the character of Denzel Crocker with his role in Splash. But the idea is that this is a new, inexperienced Clarence Oddbody-like angel, and Henry and Levy both just felt a little too professional and competent to be believable as a new rookie who'd act on impulse. Edward Everett Horton, try saying that name 3 times fast,
I'm good.
just felt a lot more like a naive newcomer to the field.
Oh, I know that we messengers shouldn't permit our emotions to sway us, but there he was, sir, just plummeting earthward. I wanted to spare him the agony of crashing, so
What territory do you cover?
it's a place called New Jersey. And if it could be arranged, sir, I should like very much to be transferred.
And again, sorry to
Nice.
sound preachy, but did the newest really have to give him the name Keys? I mean, kudos for giving him a name unlike the other two films, but did it really have to be the same name as a notorious gangster? So at the end of the day, it looks
Yeah, I think
like
the
here
newest
comes
looks
Mr.
like they
Jordan
leaned a
had
little
the
too
best
heavy into that
depiction of the
nightclub feel,
angels.
huh?
I mean, his name's in the frickin' title after all.
Point goes to Here Comes Mr. Jordan.
This is insupportable.
Go to hell.
So that's oldest one.
Farnsworth
one.
may have gotten his comeuppance at the start,
No,
but the story wouldn't have been
nothing.
nearly as exciting if the villain was killed at the very beginning. Hence why we have his trash bag wife and secretary who are determined to finish what they started and finish off that SOB once and for all. So let's see who posed the
Well,
biggest threat
let's-
to Joe with Best Villains.
Here we go. Alright, villains, let's go.
Like said before,
Okay,
the two
let's see
main
who does the
antagonists of the story are Farnsworth's adulterous wife and sleazy secretary, who try to do him in so they can be free to marry each other and have his fortune all to themselves. But unlike the first two rounds, this one wasn't hard.
Oh?
Charles Grodin and Diane Cannon in The Median are hands down the best villains.
Damn.
First of all, let me get something straight. None of these depictions of the villains are intimidating, not even a little. But whereas in the oldest and newest, the two are really just...
Bumbling idiots.
there. Grodin and Cannon are one of the best comedic bumbling villains duos I have ever seen in media. Dare I say, on par with Nathan and Mimsy.
Man, look at the
Don't believe
room.
me? Just look at their reactions when they find out that Farnsworth is still alive.
Miss Logan, I don't frighten anybody.
Okay. Panic room?
There is nothing to be frightened of. There's plenty to be worried about, but there is nothing to be frightened of. Dearest, are you all right? Can I trust you? Can I trust you? Yes, dearest?
Yeah, I swear, these two feel like they're straight out of a Mel Brooks movie, and all of their dumb villain duo dialogue is just sheer comedy gold.
I can't tell whether he's toying with me or whether he would actually precipitate a crisis in the company.
Of course he's toying with you. You don't think he's gonna forget about being drugged, do you? He's waiting for us to crack. Do you actually think that he's playing that saxophone? There's a tape inside him. That's why we keep hearing the same song over and over and over and over again. It's like those idiot costumes of his.
Wait a minute, just a minute, please.
There's a trainer for the Rams named Max Corkle. Could you call him tomorrow and ask him to come over and see me? Yes, Mr. Farnsworth. Thank you. Good night.
You idiot. You idiot! Why did you answer him?
I couldn't resist. His will is too strong.
It's not to say the other two depictions don't have some
too
good
strong.
bits as well.
Miss Farnsworth looks a little pale around the gills. She looks like she's gonna...
Faint.
She did.
Incompetent moron.
Bitch, you retard. Rich bitch. Oh, yeah. Fat old bitch.
Oh.
But again, they're mostly just there. I do think it's funny that Lance's Wellington is so appealing that his wife tries to win him back, and this does give a secretary more motivation to want to do him in, you know, for stealing back the girl he stole from him, or at least his body. But they don't really explore this idea as much as I feel they should have. The two in the median, despite being the funniest, are actually the closest thing we get to full-fledged intimidating villains. You may notice how their dialogue is a little more malicious than the other two versions, and Farnsworth's secretary actually does come off as very manipulative. The way he interacts with Joe as Farnsworth, you can tell this guy's determined to throw his boss off his plot to do him in.
Was that the living room? No, sir, I believe that was my office.
What's more, when they actually do succeed in killing Farnsworth, when they're being interrogated, they try to pin the blame on Betty, saying that she wanted vengeance on him because he only told her he loved her to get her to back down with the protests against him. Yeah, that is really cold-blooded. And just for the cherry on top, they actually do try to kill Farnsworth an additional time in the film, namely by setting up a booby trap where Farnsworth's ceiling would collapse on his bed once he got on it. Good thing he had to toss his coat onto it randomly. While I personally would have liked some more ruthless villains in this story, the comedic duo The Median offers us are a delight to watch and are the most evil villainous duo of the three. So I guess we should give credit where credit is due.
There you go.
Point goes to Heaven Can Wait.
I have a feeling I can't shake off that there's something weird.
That's awful.
Well, it looks like it's a three-way tie for sure for now. But now we got the side characters in the story. Here, it's pretty much anyone's game at this point, so I'm actually kind of curious to see where this all ends up. Will it be last? First? We'll see. Anyway.
Just as the good Lord needs the support of his children to make the world a better place, our hero Joe/Lance does too. So let's see who was more supportive with Best Supporting Cast.
There we go. You can't make change without some help. Well,
I guess we should start with the love interest. Like the male lead, I prefer the newest one, Sante, played by Regina King. Betty in the first two films is honestly pretty bland overall, but Sante is a strong-willed and assertive chick who does not take any bullshit from anyone and will go to any length to get what she wants done.
If he's unavailable now, I'll just wait here until he is available. I'm afraid you can't. Yes, I can.
Damn.
I think this may be because she has, in my opinion, the biggest reason to be upset with him. Where Farnsworth in the oldest was going to have her father wrongfully imprisoned for some stock market scam and was going to tear down her community in the median, in this version, he's just bought an affordable hospital, especially for low-income people without adequate insurance that she works at, and plans to turn it into a private, outrageously expensive business.
Yikes.
While all three of these motivations are completely understandable, I'm sorry, completely screwing over terminally ill people with their only source of medical wellness, that is just... You can definitely see why she's so ticked. Ow. Another advantage she has is we actually see her dating Lance's Wellington a lot more than in the other two films. Because of this, we get a more natural development for romantic feelings from her. And ultimately, it's the most charming of the three in my opinion.
No, I knew you were gonna try to kiss me tonight, and I thought I'd be mad.
But I'm not.
But I'm
Right?
not. It's
Hey.
something about your eyes.
What about the lead's manager, Max Corkle / Whitney Daniels? Again, I prefer Whitney Daniels, played by Frankie Faison. Not only does he seem to have the funniest dialogue,
He kind of looked like Ricky Ricardo, and then they took him.
I don't know if it's drugs you're taking or drugs you need to be taking, but do something.
but he also seemed the closest to our lead. Granted, all three versions had a pretty close bond with him, but Whitney deserves credit since he stuck by Lance even though his act was bombing hard because he knew he could be funny if he found the courage. Or around the middle, when our lead wishes to continue his former career in Farnsworth's body, he calls said manager to help him out with such, revealing his true identity to him. Said manager of course doesn't believe him at first, but then he shares some personal facts he knows about him and he realizes the truth.
Joe, you never could play that thing.
Joe. But I feel Lance got the closest to his heart about their past with convincing his friend.
We got so drunk, we thought they was transvestites. Turns out they weren't transvestites. They were just two real ugly girls. So then we brought them back to the hotel, hung out with them, fell asleep, and we woke up, what did we find out?
They robbed us!
And what's more, it also fleshes out some of the more minor characters, like Wellington's butler in this version isn't even actually British, but actually a laid-back football-loving jock who was desperate for work. Sure didn't see that coming. We also have a sassy maid played by Wanda Sykes, who never seems satisfied with Wellington,
taking this one
even
by
when he
landslide
becomes a philanthropist. And also John Cho from the Harold and Kumar movies as Lance's supportive fellow stand-up comedian. So all things considered, it looks like Down to Earth had the most supportive supporting cast.
Point goes to Down to Earth.
I knew you were cruel, but to play with people like this and torture them.
I won't tell a word to anybody. I promise. It'll be our little secret.
Oh, you're both done. Looks like it's Down to Earth so far. We just got
So
one
let's see
last
which
round.
version of the story was reincarnated from heaven the strongest with best story.
Doesn't matter if you're short or tall. Hero material, tailor-made to answer the call.
Like said before, reincarnation is anything but a new story trope in media. No, it's been done
True,
too many
I mean,
times
it's
to
blown
count
up
with
recently in anime.
mixed results, to say the least. But this is one reincarnation tale that people do seem to remember a bit more fondly than the majority. And again, I think that's largely because it has such a fun and likable protagonist in all three versions. But of the three, the median film Heaven Can Wait is considered the best by most. Hell, it was even nominated for Best Picture. So I bet a lot of you are surprised that it's not leading the score right now. And I'll bet a lot of you are even more surprised that the newest one is leading, seeing how it has the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score of the three. And yes, is going to be the winner. And let me just say, you are not alone in your surprise. Please note that I've only seen these movies recently, and when I came in, I was sure that Heaven Can Wait would win too. So why didn't it? Well, I guess what I personally felt was missing from the first two versions is, while they both were hilarious as well, they didn't really explore or have fun with this idea of a young, laid-back guy being reincarnated as a stuffy, cold-hearted industrialist that everyone hates. At least not as much as it should have. We don't get nearly as many scenes of the people around him being awed at how incredibly different this rich tight ass they all knew is acting. What we do get is comedy gold, don't get me wrong, but it's surprisingly lacking in these scenes. The newest one shows in great detail how much Wellington is despised by, well, pretty much everyone except his board of directors, but slowly wins everyone over with Lance's spunk. I also like how this version explores the idea of becoming a different race. Yeah, Lance has to be reminded the hard way that you can't make jokes about how white people have better financial luck than black, or sing along to a rap song that heavily features the N-word as a wealthy white middle-aged man. At least not without
hence
painful
the switch
results.
back and forth. Okay.
Yo, dog.
What? Oh! Ho, ho, ho.
I deserve a medal for how many Smith Rock Oscar night jokes I could have made with that scene, but maturely chose not to. By the way, the follow-up to this scene is pretty funny also.
Hey.
What?
Have you lost your mind?
I forgot who I was.
Well, what if I was singing Whitey's Wanna Die? Whitey's Can't Try.
Might get a record deal.
And like I've said before, this version takes time to better develop most of the characters, like Lance's character development arc of becoming more confident, Sante slowly developing legit feelings for him, which of course is complicated by his ex-wife wanting to win him back, making his secretary even more jealous, and of course his manager being a loyal friend to him even when he wasn't on top of the world like both Joe Pendleton's were. And even with the minor characters, they even fleshed some of them out, like with the British butler turning out to be a fraud. That's a fun tidbit they didn't need, but brought a nice laugh. And again, it's not to say this version is perfect, like it drops the part where the bad guys are interrogated and eventually caught, and they seem to get off scot-free with their crime. And again, I personally found its portrayal of heaven extremely disrespectful as a Christian. I think the last thing I want to talk about is the ending, which I'm personally not too crazy about. So in all three versions, after Farnsworth/Wellington is shot, the lead finds a new body in an old colleague in the same career as them who's recently passed, and also makes sure to let his manager know that they're back and okay, just in a new body now. So all is well, right?
Wrong, sir.
Nope.
Wrong.
Not yet.
See, once our hero is settled in with his new body, just when I thought Dwayne Johnson's Tooth Fairy couldn't be any more unoriginal, Mr. Jordan/King completely wipes his memory as Joe Pendleton and replaces it with memories of the soul of the body he's just taken. So we get a pretty sad scene where the manager goes to embrace his best friend, only to find he no longer knows him, or at least not very well. But to keep this from being a completely downer ending, Joe is still interested in hiring him as his new manager and conveniently happens to run into Betty/Sante, and the two seem like they're off to a happy relationship. That's a bit reassuring, but the question I have is, why? Why couldn't they have just let him keep the memories of his past life? Yes, I know the oldest one implies that this was because Mr. Jordan was fed up of Joe never being satisfied with the body and just didn't want to have to deal with him anymore, but I was referring to why the writers did this. It just felt so unnecessary and honestly pretty depressing.
Maybe too much of the trauma?
But I will say, Down to Earth does soften this up even more, so you may think that Lance's character development will be gone with his new memories, right? Well, that's what Lance is afraid of, but Mr. King promises him that altering his memories won't alter his personality. He'll still have all the wit and confidence and fondness for his loved ones as Joe Pendleton, even if he'll barely know them, and you can feel it. Like, Lance definitely seemed the most determined to have Whitney be his new manager.
And you know what? If you don't like the tape, keep it to yourself.
Right.
It's gonna be alright.
And where the first two films just end with Joe and Betty walking out together, this version reveals that Lance's Wellington left her the hospital, and shows that the two indeed do still connect just as well as they did with Lance's previous memory. So yeah, I know that I'm probably going to get a bunch of angry comments with this verdict, maybe even a few angry mobs at my door, but I'm not going to lie about my honest opinion. Even though I enjoyed all three movies, it was this one that seemed to explore its premise the most and best fleshed out its characters, and thus in my eyes, it's the best version of the three.
Point goes to Down to Earth, the best version of the story in my unpopular opinion.
Unpardonably presumptuous.
You must abide by what is written.
Honestly, I kind of agree. I mean, I haven't seen them. Makes sense.
Done, let's talk Hilda. The season 3 trailer was released a few days ago, and it looks pretty promising. I think my favorite part was how Johanna actually jumps out of the panel with Hilda in the intro, indicating that she's going to have a bigger role this season. And so, to commemorate this animated gym coming to a close, I've put together a little Hilda music video for you all. By the way, if you know what it's a parody of, please let me know in the comments. I'll be really impressed if you happen to know. And the reason I'm not giving you its own video is because I'm not sure if Netflix considers a music video fair use or not, so just be careful.
No funny business, VC. I'm completely ready for combat.
It's not, calm down. But just as a quick disclaimer, the following may cause uncontrollable reflex movements of legs and feet. My channel does not assume responsibility for overturned beds or footprints on walls or ceilings.
I don't care what's on streaming, unless it's like psychedelic dreaming. Sound off a look-a-waff, sound off a possessed plant, sound off 1, 2, we can't. Bear Hill's mom going on a rant. I don't know, but I've heard tell that Trollsburg is the place where it's effed up lore, you can open the door to run from common space. There's a psychedelic bird, Pazuzu dog, a boy named David and for Gallagher log. We've got, Hilda has got people just tripping out. Now we all love Bella Ramsey as Mildred Hubble, and when she dealt with some zombie pandemic trouble. But when her hair is blue, I think it's fine to say she made top Coraline as the lead blue-haired hero in an LSD fantasy world. Oh, LSD, it's easy to see. It's easy to see that creator Luke Pearson was taking this regularly, very regularly. Cause if you like the Colts animated shows and underage kids not wearing clothes, we've got Hilda has got people just tripping out. Well, what do you do when you don't learn from your mistakes? Just do your very best no matter what it takes.
I'm trying to figure
Take
out
off
what
the bureaucratic elves like the Viking clans and foil all of Albert's plans. And don't turn to stone trolls during the day and don't let your love fly. Never mind. You may want to endeavor to feed Trevor to those cannibal lads. In season 3, we'll shout for glee, we'll finally see Hilda's dad.
Really?
There's a psycho hag, Drill Jones troll, and a couple of moths who will steal your soul. We've got Hilda has got people just tripping out. Oh LSD, it has to be. And I hope that lyric won't bring a Teletubby, no Teletubbies. We'll stick Kamara in David's bed and maybe also chop off his head. We've got Hilda has got people just tripping out.
I probably wasn't gonna unleash the Teletubbies. He's fine. Trust me. Don't think I want Hilda's mom coming after me. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Honestly, I kinda agree. I mean, Down to Earth. I think it just aged a lot better than the others. Don't know why. I don't know. But, hey, you love what you love. What are you gonna do? Anyway, until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Adios.